Yo, how y'all doing today? This your boy Dom with Politically Raw, man, and I'm here today to help you out with people and their failure to disclose personal information with their Ohio laws, so that you'll know what your laws are. You can reference this video. If you don't read, I'm gonna read for you. If you don't like to read, I'm going to read for you. I'm going to read for you because not reading was a crime. You hear me? I mean, reading was once a crime, is what I meant. Reading had once upon a time been a crime, especially for people of my skin complexion or lighter or darker. But not just for our people. Reading was a crime. Reading certain books was a crime to all people at one point in time. And reading is fundamental. And I'm tired of police officers trying to pull Trump on people or act as if what they're saying is 100% the truth because of your ignorance or the ignorance that they think that you have. So today, this is your boy Dom with Politically Raw. And this is why we're politically raw. This section 2921. This is a Ohio revised code, and this states in case police officers try to pull these violations of codes and statutes on you, trying to trump the Constitution and your free rights. Here's their own code. When they try to tell you that you got to give up an ID, no, you don't have to give up an ID. It states it right here. In section 2921.29, failure to disclose personal information. A right here, this has been effective since 2006. I did a video about this in 2015. This still hasn't changed. It's 2022. So no person who is in a public place shall refuse to disclose the person's name, address, or date of birth. So you are required to give the police, you see these videos where certain states, that's why I'm dealing with Ohio, certain states you don't have to give any of this. And actually, I need to finish this whole sentence out. It says, no person who is in a public place shall refuse to disclose the person's name, address, or date of birth. So person's name, address, or date of birth when requested by a law enforcement officer who reasonably suspects either of the following. So they got to suspect that you are doing any of these things before they can even request for your name, address, or date of birth. Name, address, or date of birth. So they really just need your name and address or date of birth. It says the person is committing, has committed, or is about to commit a criminal offense. And by the way, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just reading this right here, what it says. This is what it says, plain and simple, man, plain and simple. The person is committing, has committed, or is about to commit a criminal offense. So if the police suspects that you're about to commit a criminal offense, if the police suspect that you're about to do that, then they can, ask you for your name, but they gotta reasonably suspect it though. Reasonably. It gotta have some type of facts in there to say why they thought that you were about to commit this a criminal offense, or you already committed it. So now they can't ask you your name, they can ask you that because you have committed, or is about to commit. He is committing, you're in the act of doing, about to commit, you're about to, and criminal offense, or you're about to, you get what I'm saying, it's right there. So the person witnessed any of the following. So that's the only way they can ask you for number one. That's the only way that they can first ask you. But they got to have reasonable suspicion and things of that sort. They're not, according to this, they're not able to just ask you your name. According to this, we'll find if it's another one that says they can ask that just off the rip. But this first one just says the person is committing, has committed, or is about to commit a criminal offense. Okay, so that's the way they can ask you for your name, your information, how to identify you. Okay, the next one is, and you have to give them the true name if they suspect you of this crime, and they got to tell you what they suspect or what not reasonable. They got to articulate that to you. The person witnessed in any of the following: an offense of violence that would constitute a felony under the laws of this state. So if you were the witness, if you were there and you witnessed it, they're gonna ask you your name, and you'll have to deal with that with you and your lawyer or your attorney, however that you deal with it. But you have to give them that if you were sitting there as a witness. So an offense of violence that would constitute a felony under the law of this state. So if you say somebody shoot somebody else, they're gonna ask you. Okay, let's put this up there. Okay, felony offense that causes or results in or creates a substantial risk of serious physical harm to another person or property. So if you witness somebody damage somebody's property or beat somebody up, they're going to ask you your name. They're going to get your name. They're going to, it doesn't say you have to provide them with an ID. You're not required to give them an ID. You're only required to disclose your name, address, and date of birth. That's it. Or date of birth. It says, so with your name, you can give them either an address or a date of birth. It says any conduct reasonably indicating that any offense identified in this division A2, A, or B of this section, or any attempt, conspiracy, or complicity described in division A2, C of this section is being or is about to be committed. So okay, so if they were about to do it or already have done it, the same as if you with you in section 1. You know, if it's has been committed. So if you witness the person or any of that, so I think that's self-explanatory. Whoever violates this section is guilty of failure to disclose one's personal information, is a misdemeanor of the 4th degree. Nothing in this section requires a person to answer any questions. You hear this? This is C. So nothing in this section requires a person to answer any questions beyond that person's name, address, or date of birth. So name and address, or name and date of birth. That's all you're required to give the officers in this identification situation. Nothing in this section authorizes a law enforcement officer to arrest a person for not providing any information beyond that person's name, address, or date of birth, for refusing to describe the offense observed. So if they ask you any questions beyond, if they thought you was about to commit a crime, or if they say that you're not having an ID, it doesn't say you have to provide them with any driver's license. The driver's license is for driving. You don't have to provide them any identification other than you telling them your name, address, or name and date of birth. That's how they can identify who you are. Okay, so then it's also officers have this thing where some tickets have a thing where you put a thumbprint on there too. That's another way for them to identify who you are. That's a actual way for police officers to identify you without a. So if they try to pull something where like, oh, this person's not giving adequate information or any of that, say, here, take my thumbprint, offer the thumbprint, because then they won't be able to arrest you or any of those things. But again, let's repeat what C says. Nothing in this section requires a person to answer any questions. So you don't have to answer any questions beyond that person's name, address, or date of birth. Nothing in this section authorizes a law enforcement officer to arrest a person for not providing any information beyond that. So once you provide them your name and address or date of birth, you can give them all three if you want. or for refusing to describe the offense reserved. So once you give them that information, you don't have to say, well, I seen such and such do this, or I seen this and then that happened. You need to wait till you either speak with an attorney or you go to court to find out what's going on. You don't have to give any statements, and you can't. The police cannot threaten to take you to jail because you refuse to give them a driver's license. They cannot do that. Okay, so this is Ohio laws and administrative rules that police officers must follow, and their ignorance of the law is no excuse. It is not a violation of this section to refuse to answer a question that will reveal a person's age or date of birth if age is an element of the crime that the person is suspected of committing. It is not a violation. So in this section, it is not a violation to refuse to answer a question that will reveal a person's age. So that's why, again, it says or date of birth up here. If age isn't an element of the crime that a person was suspected of committing, then you don't have to reveal your age. So this right here protects you. This tells you that all you got to do for the officer to be at ease when asking you to identify, first he has to have a reason. He can't just come up to you and say, hey, I want to ID you because I want to ID you. Nowhere in here does it say that. It says that the person is committing, has committed, or is about to commit a criminal offense. What crime do you suspect me of committing, sir? You're allowed to ask that. That is your right to ask. What crime am I suspected of committing? Okay? Has anybody called and made a complaint about me? Nothing's wrong with giving your name and address. That's it. That's all that Ohio law requires for you to do, and that's what failure to disclose personal information is. So your name and address. That's it. So you don't have to have a driver's license in a vehicle while you're driving. You may have to give your driver's license up because you're driving. That's what the license is for you to drive. That's another topic of discussion, but this one right here, I just wanted people to know in their everyday movement. And this also goes, I apologize, this also goes for people that's the passengers or traveling companions in vehicles. You're not required to give police officers a driver's license either. So I'll make a video for that for people in cars. But this is failure to disclose personal information. If you're in the car and you're in the passenger seat, the police officer does not need a driver's license from you. For one, you're not driving. For two, they will have to reasonably suspect that you committed a crime. So the person is committing, has committed, or is about to commit a criminal offense. So as the passenger of a car, if the police asks what's your name and address, that's sufficient enough information for them to identify who you are. They have a notepad and they're supposed to have a pen and they can write it down. Right. So that's what I'm saying. The person is committing, has committed, or is about to commit. But this says failure to disclose personal information. It says nowhere in here do you need a driver's license, does it? Section 2921.29 of the Ohio Revised Codes. And it's been real with y'all. I'm out.